I got so frustrated by the lack of action by the local police or authorities. I've spoken to them plenty of times. So I set about creating a government petition on the subject of bike lights, something which is I find very frustrating indeed. Um, the petition is called, it's got a very strange name, Petition 654147. Nice and easy to remember, 654147, which is a petition which says that the authorities must require bikes to be fitted with suitable lights in full working order at all times. Basically, the theory behind that is, oh, of course, I'm not looking for them to be using the lights necessarily during daytime, but if they're not in full working order during the daytime, they're hardly likely to be ready and able to be used at nighttime, or when, for instance, light conditions are poor, or which happens at times, fog and etc. etc. So the key to this is all about bike safety, not only for the cyclists, but also for other road users and pedestrians. I was nearly knocked over outside my shop by a guy who he was cycling a black bike, wearing dark clothing, not a single light whatsoever on his bike. But he obviously had some sort of rented brain cell because he'd fashioned a bracket to hold his iPhone so he could watch YouTube clips whilst he cycled along. But he was cycling on the pavement. Also, I have been filming out in East Road on a regular basis, associated to the lane restrictions that are going on in East Road. I keep on getting distracted by the misbehaving cyclists, a lot of the Deliveroo and Just Eat people who seem to like cycling on the pavement without any form of lights, etc., etc. So I decided that I was going to try and do something about it. I've spoken to the police. I had an email recently from the superintendent for South Cambs, who basically said, yes, we would like to do more. In fact, I've got his email lined up here. He said, I'm afraid we can't enforce it as often as we would like or would be able. If an officer stops to issue a ticket with no lights en route to a sexual assault, burglary, or domestic incident, I think you'd think we have our priorities wrong. Well, we're not suggesting that. I'm just thinking it needs to be enforced. There's no point in having a law which says your bike should have lights at night time without any form of enforcement. And I conducted my own little, I thought, well, let's get some data together. So what I did was I counted on my 6 mile commute home every night for a week. I counted the number of bikes I saw with and without lights and just made a mental note of it as I was driving along. And I popped the details into a spreadsheet. And at the end of the week, I'd calculated that 40% of the cyclists I'd witnessed cycling on the road or pavement or whatever on my drive home from Cambridge to Cottenham, 40% of the cyclists were without any form of illumination. You know, in a place that's well lit, like East Road or going along Newmarket Road, you know, it's okay, they can get away with it. But there's an awful lot of places now, they're cutting down on street lighting. If you go up somewhere like Gilbert Road, which seems like a bit of a hot spot for it, because I saw at least just about a mile long Gilbert Road, and I saw on one night, I saw 12 cyclists without lights whatsoever. You know, it's just ridiculous. I thought, well, let's put some data behind it, and you know, we'll see if we can't get a bit of interest. My petition has been running for only a matter of days. And there's a couple of hundred people signed up to it so far. But I need to get a little bit more traction behind that. People should sign up to. So if you Google petition 654, nice and easy, 654 147, which is the top score in a snooker game. 654 147, nice and easy to remember. And basically, if I can get enough people interested, the government say they'll give us an answer as to what they propose to do. You know, back in the days, back in the 1960s and 70s, I've had people say to me, well, back then, I even had people, the police stop me and check my brakes. And one person said he finished up in court because his brakes, they worked, but they didn't work well enough. So the policeman, back then, the priorities seem to have changed. I dare say it's all going down to budgets and the amount of people they've got available. But really, it is so frustrating. I had what could be termed an amusing incident filming in East Road. There was a young lady cycled past me. She had no lights whatsoever on her bike. She was wearing dark clothing. She had no hands on her handlebars, and she was on her mobile phone. So I said, "Oh, good, extra points. You're on your mobile phone." And I carried on filming about the lane restrictions. Anyway, about 30 seconds later, she came back to me and she complained that why was I filming her? I said, well, I wasn't. You happened to cycle across my film shot. And then she started debating with me what I'd said. She said, well, what's it to do with you? I was on my mobile phone. And she said, by the way, I'm not the only person without lights, as if that was some sort of justification. Well, quite frankly, that is the sort of complacency that has come about as a result of the law not being imposed. And what's the point of having a law if you're not going to actually impose it? It might just well not be in existence.